All right, I'm going to give a quick example of how to make a state machine using the VHDL. Now, the state machine I wrote doesn't really make much sense. It just has a couple of states, and we're going to make transitions. All right, so at some point, you should probably pause. You can write down the code if you want to try this out on your own. Main items we are looking at are you need to have a clock and a reset. I have one input, so that's the X, and I have one output that's a Z. The first thing we need to do is inside the architecture in the beginning, we're going to make some internal values. One item we're going to do is we're going to define our states. We're going to make a new data type called state name. And all the states, you're not going to give them any binary values. You're going to give them an actual label. So here I'm giving it as state A, state B, and state C. Then we're going to make two internal signals, which is going to form our memory. We're going to have current state, and then we're going to have next state. And then these are the type of state A, state B, state C. Whenever you make a state machine, you're going to have three processes. The first process is to save your memory. So we have the reset is one. We're going to go back to state A, do a rising edge, and then set next state equal to current state. Second process we have is just to define what the next state is going to be. So we're going to use a case statement so we can trigger all of our states. So we say when state A, we're going to check X. If X is 1, I go to state A, else I'm going to go to state B. In state B, if X is 1, I go to C, else I'm going to stay in B. And then in state C, if I 1, I'll go to A, and a 0, I will go to A as well. We will need an others case. Here I didn't put anything, but you should be able to put something like next state is state A. Just put it back to your original resetting step. Our third process is for our output. And on our output, we say, again, the same case statement. And for every state, I'm doing a more state machine, so I'm defining what Z is. So Z0, Z0, it's only one, we're in state C. All right, now we got to make our test bench. Test bench looks somewhat the same. You're going to make a component of the entity that you're testing. So I'm testing the finite state machine, internal signals, everything that's in the entity, clock, reset, XZ. We're going to make the port maps, make the connections. Now this is where it's going to look different than what you've done before. I'm going to make a process just to define the clock. So we say clock is 0, wait. Clock is 1, wait. There'll never be a final wait at the end. For the inputs, the first thing you want to do is for a small amount of time, you want to test for reset to be high. I'm going to set reset high, so I start at state A. And here I have reset in X just because to make it easy, I did a copy and paste. But if you want to drop off reset after you set it back to a 0, that's fine. So here I'm setting X values 0, a 1, a 0, 0, a 1. Let's do a 1. And then let's do another 1. And the last one we can do as a final just wait, like we've been doing before. Right, so we're going to save this, make sure your test bench is set to the top level. You see that I have state machine underneath it. Then we're going to go and we'll run the simulation. When we run the simulation, all we see is the clock, reset, X, and Z. You may want to know information like what state you're in. So we'll go down to the unit under test. That was the item we defined on the port map. And then we see current state. If you want to drag next state over, you can too. So let's just do current state so we can see what state we're in. Let me try to minimize some of these windows. Right, so I added an internal signal in. We're going to reset the simulation. We'll run it. And let's zoom out. Everything happened right at the beginning. So let's go to the very beginning. We want to see the states changing. It looks like they change at the, looks like they're not showing up. Oh, there it is. We spent a lot of time in state A because that's where we do the final weight. I don't know why the names are not showing up. But if I drag it this way, you should see that we're in state A. We got to zoom in a little bit more. I don't know why it's not showing the names. All right, let me try the simulation again. Let's reset it. Here, we'll do a little bit less time. Let's say we do for 5 microseconds. Run it. We go to the very beginning. Let's zoom in. There you can see we go state A, state B, state C, and then we go back to A. And you can, have your state graph, and you can double check the arrows on the transitions. All right, so that should get you started with an example on how to go ahead and make a state machine.